Of spin this morning, Amber Heard's campaign to clear her name after losing the defamation trial brought on by ex-husband Johnny Depp.
In the next hour, a tell-all interview will air in the US, Heard facing questions from NBC host Savannah Guthrie.
I think vast majority of this trial was played out on social media. I think that this trial is an example of that gone haywire, gone amok. And the jury is not immune to that.
You think the jury saw it?
How could they not? I think even the most well-intentioned juror, it would have been impossible to avoid this.
Far from accepting the verdict, Heard raises ways the jurors could have been unduly influenced, especially by the plethora of parodies online.
Everything that I've made up, that I've been through, this is how people want to treat me.
I struggle to have the words.
That's true, but I'll allow it because it does sound fun, and this trial is for fun. What? Mr. Depp, are you finding this trial amusing?
A little. Yes.
So am I. You bet, Captain Jack.
Now, Masters of Spin this morning are Dee Madigan and Matthew Bywater. Matthew, first to you. Amber Heard effectively says the court of public opinion has been influenced by social media in the case. What do you think?
Well, I think she's right, and that's not to sort of cast judgment on who's wrong or right in this case, but how can you have a case like this and not the juries not be affected? You think of like Johnny Depp, his career is so long, and you go back to 21 Jump Street all those decades ago, people have had a relationship with him on screen for so long. How can you not be influenced in that way?
Dee, I mean, you've got the jurors being influenced as one thing, but then there's this issue of, you know, a victim, a distressed alleged victim of domestic violence being sort of mocked in this way, and you wonder whether it sets a dangerous precedent and whether they're going too far, perhaps, with these videos.
Yeah, look, I think particularly while a court case is going, you know, at what point is it fair game and not? It's awful. The whole thing is awful, and I get why she's doing it now, because she's lost the court case and she's trying to win the public case, if you like. I just think they both sound like really toxic people, and I wouldn't want to be friends with either of them.
But you wonder about this precedent for future sort of high-profile cases, particularly around domestic violence. I mean, it's sort of dangerous territory that we have entered into here.
But how do you stop it happening?
Yeah.
You know, and
it's a matter of taste, isn't it? You can't quite stop it unless there's a public backlash.
There is, but you have to trust the jury system as well, and they did hear all the evidence, and I don't know how much they would have been influenced by what's happening online. I think it's a little unfair to the jurors to suggest they were swayed by that as well.
I want to ask you about another issue. The National Australia Bank has launched a corporate refresh, a series of new ads showing how helpful its staff can be. Dee, you're not a fan?
Look, I want to like this. It's got a big budget, it's a lot of fun. I had to look at it 3 or 4 times to actually work out what was happening. And if I'm chasing a home loan, I don't want my bank to be in a 50-year-old car. I think, and also it feels chaotic, and then all you do is associate NAB with chaos rather than the solver of that chaos. And I do get, you show the problem to show the solution. I feel like they've spent a lot of money and missed the mark a little bit.
Yeah, I think like the Royal Commission probably achieved that feeling of chaos. They'd already covered that off. They could have moved on from that. Matthew, do you think the brand banking trying to reposition itself is working in this ad?
Well, I think it's entertaining. I doubt its effectiveness. We're discussing earlier about this. Is that one of the challenges banks have is that they used to be one of the most trusted brands. We used to go to them. But these days, the Royal Commission, the interest rate rises, and we're going to have many more to come. There's a lot of distrust there. What the bank needs to do is something more than just a good advertisement. They need to actually start fulfilling some of these promises. Because what banks are lacking in the community is congruency. People hear what they say, they just don't believe it because their actions don't follow what they say they're going to do.
Quite a beautiful story here. The extremely marketable Socceroos right now, beating Peru, of course, to win a place in soccer's World Cup. Dee, the sport has been struggling to get crowds to A-League matches. Would you imagine now that sponsors would be lining up and in a big way?
Look, I think so. I was thinking about this. You know, I grew up in Melbourne, and in Melbourne, in utero, you're assigned an AFL team. That is how it works.
Yeah.
But all our kids here are playing soccer, so I think that they've got a long-term strategy for building the brand. If I was a sponsor, I'd say I'd sponsor them, but I'd lock it in for 15 years because I think it'll pay off down the track.
Matthew Goley, Andrew Redmayne's miraculous save was the magical moment. The whole of the nation's fortunes changed in that very moment. I mean, how much on a dollar value, like, does his value go up with something like this?
Immensely if he's under good management. And as a goalkeeper myself for Concord Juniors,
Oh, yes.
just to say the most important
Hold on
position in the
a
field, some would say.
Sneaking a quick plug in there, Matthew. I like it. How did you go as a goalie? Just quietly.
Didn't move quite as well as that. But what it is, when he is quite a low-paid soccer at global standards, playing for the A-League. But his potential on the sponsorship side is huge, and that's what he's got to capitalise on. Now, we've got to put this in perspective. He's Australia's third or fourth choice goalkeeper. So he may not even get a gig in the World Cup unless there's another penalty shootout. If he's his management team, you've got to take advantage of it, get some sponsors on board. It's got to be something fun, something bright. And there's some old cliches you use, something like a bank insurance, like in safe hands, boring, doesn't cut through. You've got to get some energetic brand, something like a Red Bull, something that gets people excited and gets him up in front of the media more often, and that's going to help further grow his brand. And
something that gives him wings.
And I think if I'm Soccer Australia, I'm going to see that. If Soccer Australia needs to use Andrew Redmayne right here, right now, while the moment's hot, because people are watching soccer because of him.
You, as a very sort of burgeoning goalie yourself, would you ever consider an Andrew Beard? I think it'd look good on you.
Well, right now it'd be very grey, so perhaps not.
Give it a try, see how it goes. All right, thank you so much, guys. Good to
Thanks,
chat.
guys.